Hello and welcome to Tax Matters and welcome to the month of February. It is surprising how time flies. January is gone. This month of February is the month of celebration at the CITN, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. The institute turns 40 this February 2022, having been founded on the 4th of February 1982. As part of activities marking the anniversary, a high-powered delegation of the CITN was at the Tax Matters studios on Saturday, the 29th of January. And on Monday, 31st January, activities began in full swing with a task walk. The 40th anniversary lecture took place on Tuesday, the 1st of February in Abuja. All these activities, including the anniversary gala night, slated for Saturday the 5th of February, will come to you very soon on Tax Matters. On this episode, we'll be sharing with you what transpired when these august visitors visited in January. But before then, the unfinished business, the concluding part of our focus on the Finance Act 2021, powered by Mr. Matthew Bojumbola of the FIRS. Mr. Bojumbola's concluding remarks in the first installment was to the effect that the Finance Act 2021 has given powers of collection for both the Naseni and police transport levies to the FIRS. We are still discussing the tax components of the Federal Government Budget 2022 and the Finance Act 2021, and our guest is still Mr. Bojumbola, the Group Lead Special Tax Operations Group at the FIRS. Mr. Bojumbola, welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
Now, on the reinforcement of the mandate of the FIRS as the primary or sole tax collecting agency, what informed the reinforcement of this?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, I alluded earlier before that one of the major canons of taxation is certainty, and the next one to it is simplicity. Now, certainty as to what to collect, who is to collect, who is to pay. There are three important elements of certainty that must come. Now, we discovered that there are confusions within the space because certain agencies of government in carrying out their own primary assignment sometimes come upon tax issues. And then there was a temptation for them to want to handle such tax issues by themselves. And that brought a lot of confusion to the taxpayer. I mean, we were inundated with several letters, several complaints to say, oh, I'm a taxpayer, but who am I responsible to? Am I responsible to FIRS or to this other organization or to that organization? And when we look at the law didn't give those organizations the task of administering taxation. And so, because this was becoming very frequent, the government was very concerned that there would be a need to make the issue very clear. And that is what the government had done by way of the amendment you saw, or the provision you saw in the Finance Act 2021, to make it very clear that when it comes to issue of tax administration, it is only the Federal Revenue Service, if as regards taxes collectible by the federal government or by the federation. Whereas each state tax authority has its own also authority to collect taxes that are collectible by those states. But once it is a federally collectible taxes or a taxes that is meant for the federation, only the FIRS is empowered to carry out that function. That's actually the major reason why that provision was put there by government, to make it very clear. And not only just making it clear, to also attach a provision for penalty should any organization or any individual decide on its own to usurp the duty of the service in collecting taxes, then there are penalties because there are rules for collection of taxes. And those rules, most of those organizations don't know those rules. And once you don't know the rules, then you are either going to be under collecting or over collecting, or either way, you are creating uncertainty in the minds of taxpayers, and people are worried and say, who should look at my tax record? For example, tax audit. We see various government organizations going to taxpayers and say, we want to audit you for tax purposes. And that creates burden, unnecessary burden to the taxpayer, to the public, to say, look, FRS will come and look at our record. Then this other organization will come and look at our record for the same purpose. Another organization will come and look at those records. And so more or less, those taxpayers are not able to focus on their primary objective of their business. And they are now attending from one agency to another agency in respect of one item, which is taxation. And so this is one of the reasons why the government believe that the issue should be made very clear to everybody, including the taxpayers. I mean, once taxpayers also see this, they then know that if anybody is coming and saying we want to do tax audit, and that person is not from FRS, then you can point the person to the law and say, the law didn't say you can come to my office to go and do tax audit.
What more do we expect going forward from this?
With this, I know that Nigerians generally are law-abiding, particularly when they are agencies of government. And now that the law has been very clear, and there's no ambiguity as far as I understand, and so what I expect is people comply. So if people are doing investigation, for example, and they discover that there could be issue of tax fraud there, the law says they should refer it to FRS, and FRS takes appropriate steps to address the whatever issue. So what I expect now is that there will only be one single authority at federal level with respect to tax matters. I also believe that at state level, there will only be one authority within each state to address tax matters. But I'm limiting myself to what we have in the Finance Act to the effect that going forward, we expect that instances where non-tax organization, non-FRS people are writing to taxpayers to say, bring your book, or we are coming to inspect your book for tax purposes, we believe that that era is gone.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what are the implications of the various provisions or measures for the FRS in its work for revenue collection and for government take?
Thank you. Since the advent of the current management, you can see a lot had been done. I mean, first of all, not as if one is blowing his own trumpet, but you can see that we have been achieving targets that government has given to us. Even in year 2020, when we had shutdowns and all of that, we made over 90, I mean, close to 100% and 98% of our target, despite that 5 months this economy was shut down. Last year, we made our budget. We did more than 100% of the target in 2021. And so question is, what have we done, or what have we been doing differently? Part of what we have done is we have done a lot of reorganization. We have repositioned the service, putting square pegs in square holes, as they say, in terms of proper utilization of our officers. Number two thing we have done is that we have realigned our processes. So not just the people now, even processes. For example, the group that I am privileged to lead is a brand new group, which is providing very important role, playing very important role within the system to improve the system. Number three is that we have decided to move away from manual operations. We have decided to pitch our tent with using relevant and very modern technology. And that is what has led to FRS internally developing the tax pro max. We never used anybody to develop that for us. We did it by our own staff, our own officers, to build that system, which we are still building, making more robust. And that in itself was a major game changer because we were able to more efficiently process registration, more efficiently process returns. We receive returns and process our returns. We are more efficiently able to process our payments. We are able to monitor what taxpayers' performances are on a continuous basis. And then we also decided to, once we have decided to use technology, we decided we also need to leverage on data. And currently we have a function within the FRS that mines data from different quarters, and then we try and match those data with taxpayer tax information that we have. And so where we see gaps, we go ahead and say, look, Mr. XYZ or XYZ company, from our data, it appears your income you have received during this period is X amount of money, but what you have declared to us is less than that. Can you provide us explanation? And through that, we are realizing a lot of revenue that will have gone down the drain, but for those measures that we have taken. We are also collaborating more with other government agencies, CAC, NIMC, FRSC, any of the government customs. We have very good rapport, and we are able to get data more freely that makes our job more efficient. And we believe that we are still laying the foundation. In the next couple of years, it's going to be a different story in terms of success, because we believe that we are actually on the right trajectory.
We must commend the service for all those laudable initiatives and also for achieving more than the target set for it in the year 2021. All right, sir. Finally, before we let you go, do you think the business community is getting a fair deal from the Finance Act 2021 and the Appropriation Act? And also, what are the vibes you are receiving from the business community at large?
You know, when it comes to the business of taxation, it is difficult to please either the taxpayer or the public or even the government. Even we ourselves, sometimes we find it difficult pleasing ourselves. And that is because tax payment is a very complex business. While the government needs revenue to provide social services, and people need the social services for them to enjoy their lives. But payment of taxes is very difficult because it's the same people that are going to pay the taxes. And so you see, it's like a circle of itself. So while some side of it is sweet, because when government is able to build roads, build hospitals, schools, and all other amenities that we need, we are happy. But then you need money to do all of those things. So when we come to us and say, okay, come and pay taxes, we say, why me? Let somebody else pick up the bill. So asking about the business side of it, one thing you can see beginning from the 2019 Finance Act up to the latest Finance Act is that there have been a lot of consideration for businesses in terms of number one, making the tax rules simpler, making the tax rules clearer, and also in terms of specific targeted reliefs for taxpayers. And it's also not wanting in the 2021 Finance Act. So that is one bit we are doing to make life as easier as possible for the businesses and taxpayers. Now, what are people saying? As long as you are asking people to pay tax, they can't clap for you. I would not expect them to clap for you. But this general feeling we have is that people are pleased, particularly with this Finance Act 2021. We can see that, feelers from professional tax practitioners is that people are pleased with the standard and with some of the corrections that we have made and new things that have come into the tax law. That is my personal feeling anyway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bodumbola. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Amaka.
There you are, Finance Act 2021 laid bare. From one guest to another set of guests. CITN is 40, and to begin the beating of the drums, we have a high-powered delegation of the ESCO with us. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Tax Matters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We already let the cat out of the bag in our introduction. Your institute, our institute, is 40. So what's up?
Good day, viewers. We are happy to be here to present the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria at 40. A person that is 40 years old is said to have come of age. Since 4th of February 1982, when two associations came together, the Association of Tax Practitioners and Association of Tax Administrators, to form what is now known today as the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. I think it is high time we give glory to God and to present CITN at 40 to Nigerians and the global world. We are happy to make taxation profession an interesting thing to Nigerians.
Still on the issue of why we are here, as mentioned by the chairman, CITN at 40, who is a past president of our institute. Let me further attest to the fact that when you look at an association that has grown over 40 years, a lot of challenges has come up and we have been able to overcome that. We have been able to build resilience, we have been able to build relevance, we have been able to also make sure that administratively we are coordinated, and our governance has grown over the years. And the impact of the institute after 40 years is why we want to tell the whole world it is time for us to celebrate.
Thank you. Now the celebration has started. I mean, on Friday, the 28th of January, you had the Jumat service. On Sunday, the 30th of January, you also had the church service and the Thanksgiving. And on Monday, the 31st of January, you also had the tax walk. So now let's talk about the anniversary lecture. The theme is Evolution of Taxation as a Profession in Nigeria, the birth of the CITN. What gave rise to the choice of this theme?
When you look back, you have to know where you are coming from. Time it was when you talk about tax in this country, Nigeria, it's like an abomination. People don't even want to, they didn't want to hear that word tax. Whereas in life, tax is as certain as death. Without tax, government cannot fund its projects all over the world. And it was observed by the founders of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria that taxation should be made more inviting to the populace. If the populace know the reason why they are paying taxes and the tax proceeds are being utilized for the purpose for which they are collected, citizens will be happy to do that, to pay. That gave rise to the birth of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. At Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, we have the convergence of the taxpayers, the tax professionals, the tax administrators who are on the side of government. We are able to sort out issues among ourselves. That is why Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria has come to being, and glory be to God for that.
And still, as a follow-up to that, you realize that when we came into existence, we were mindful of the fact that there are revenue gaps and there are relationships that needs to be established between administrators and practitioners and the taxpayers. And bearing this in mind, we were very conscious, as far back as 1982, that sooner or later we'll be talking about the issue of revenue generation and we have been proved right. That becomes the starting point. Then the accountability is the aspect we are equally engaging government with. When it comes to the issue of advocacy, the issue of governance, we are also mindful because we have a responsibility to the society. And thereafter, we want to be able to talk about what are these taxes being used for. And that is one of the areas we are getting to, and which we see as of today. 36 states plus the Federal Capital Territory and the Federal Inland Revenue Service have made this a critical point which everybody is talking about. Tax is no longer any other business. It is now the main business.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Now, still on the theme, the second part talks about the birth of the CITN. So what can you tell us about the founding of your institute?
Now, about the beginning, the genesis of CITN. You remember the chairman of the committee said 4th of February 1982. Even before that time, there have been some discussions among the professionals in the industry. We have the accountants. And you remember those days, it's the accountants that were doing accounting, and we are also doing taxation. They have been the judges over their own cases, so we felt that that is not right. Taxation is a different profession entirely. And they met, the tax administrators and the accountants met, and because they believed that it was true, especially as things were happening around the world. We have, as at that time, CIOT, the Chartered Institute of Taxation UK, has been established. It's on, and it's doing taxation in UK. And we also have our doyen of taxation, Chief Olorunleke, as a member of Chartered Institute of Taxation UK. So they believed, they discussed, and they believed that yes, there was a case for Nigeria to have the Institute of Taxation. So that was when it started. Workings of the positive professionals, the accountants, and the tax administrators. The accountants, represented by Mr. Ijewere, Mr. Babintin Ashaye, Mrs. Ashaye, Alhaji Dangana. And for administrators, we have Chief Olorunleke, Reverend Shodipe, Mr. Ayo Oni, and others. So they came together and felt, now let us form that association. So they formed ATAP, Association of Tax Professionals and Administrators. Well, they continue to discuss the dialogue among themselves, holding meetings, and continue to dig in to say, okay, what else can we do? How best can we move? And then they now said, okay, now that we are really separating taxation from accounting, let us now have the Nigerian Institute of Taxation. That was how they started. On the 31st of December 1992, General Ibrahim Babangida, the then president of this Republic of Nigeria, signed the charter of the Chartered Institute of Taxation. Since then, we have not looked back. We have moved from 13 members to over 25,000 members, and we have done so much for the development of taxation in Nigeria.
That's all that time will allow us to take on this episode of the program. Big congratulations to the CITN at 40. The concluding part of the interview with the lady and gentleman will come to you next episode with the full story of the celebration, the anniversary lecture, the gala night, plus our exclusive with 3 of the founding fathers. To you, our viewers, thank you for watching. Have a beautiful month of February.